we got some more Amphibia today and learned a little bit more about Anne's background for this. All right, this is episode 9A. This is Lily Pad Thai. I'm just gonna say right now, I've never actually had Thai in my life, so when I heard the title, I mean, I knew what they were going with because it did sound like a restaurant name, and it's pretty much what the majority of this episode is Anne kind of helping this guy out with his restaurant and stuff. Okay, so the episode basically begins with the family at the house, and they are trying to cook a pizza. I'm glad they're actually trying the pizza thing out. But Sprig accidentally blows it up, and they go out to eat at Stumpy's Diner. Kind of reminds me of the Greasy Diner from Gravity Falls. Because Greasy Diner was a log, and it pretty much, that's kind of what Stumpy's Diner is. It kind of looks like a log as well. So they go, and it's kind of like Greasy Diner in a way, except, it's more amphibious. That's a word. And Stumpy Joe, is that, or Stumpy, yeah, I think it's just Stumpy. He doesn't really care about what he does. I mean, he kind of lost his passion, I guess. And what's interesting is he lost both his hands, so he kind of has like all these different prosthetics. Like he has a spatula for a hand. He had a feather duster. He had his hammer. He had a hammer. He has a lot of good variety in my opinion, and so. Yeah, it's interesting for all that to be for him. But then all of a sudden, then a critic named Albus Duckweed, he's a critic and he's egocentric, and as a journalist, I'm definitely like, making this look bad, man. I mean, I'm in college being a journalist. I mean, I don't know what it's like to actually go out and write a review on a restaurant or a movie. I mean, I've given reviews on movies on this channel, but I haven't really done a full depth analysis, I guess. So basically, the critic is going at Stumpy, and then Anne sticks up for Stumpy, but then it turns into a wager that they make, saying that if they have a better if they basically improve everything within the next 2 days, then the critic will come back and give his review. But then Stumpy points out that he's the most popular critic in town, meaning that whatever review he gives to the restaurant will pretty much determine the fate of the restaurant. And so Stumpy thinks that he's pretty much done, so he seemingly gives up, and of course is like, okay, I might have gone a little too far ahead. I love how we learn more about Anne and her character. We kind of start seeing more and more similarities to Luz. I am going to definitely do a compare and contrast of Amphibia and the Outhouse sometime in the future. I don't know when, but I'm definitely going to be doing a video on that, because yeah, this is getting ridiculous at this point. All right. We finally learn Anne's last name, Anne Boonchoy. Interesting. I mean, definitely not what I was expecting. I mean, I didn't even know what to expect, honestly, with these names, because, I mean, for the amphibia, for the frogs and amphibia, it's, pun related. Planters, I guess Stumpy, you got Albus Duckweed here. You got Ivy, which you can argue is kind of like Poison Ivy, like all these different names. And it's like, so for Anne, I wasn't entirely sure what her last name would be, but so Boonchoy. All right. So pretty much, yeah, most of the episode is Anne helping Stumpy renovate the restaurant and stuff, and Stumpy at first doesn't seem like he wants to help, but then he slowly gets into it. Like, he he actually starts helping and renovate, and eventually the restaurant becomes this frog Thai fusion, and it's actually pretty cool. It's actually cool. It's really cool. It's really interesting, and of course, Anne. I don't did I mention? Oh wait, yeah. So the reason why Anne is so good with restaurant stuff is because her parents owned a restaurant in back in her in the human world, a Thai restaurant. So she kind of knows the main biz, I guess, and she pretty much thought that she can kind of make her own restaurant, I guess, in this situation. But she doesn't do it to boost her own ego. It's because she legitimately believes that this guy, that Stumpy doesn't deserve to be crapped on by a critic, and pretty much just wants to one up the critic. So yeah. And at first, the critic, I love this idea, and the Sweet Life and Zack and it reminds me of an episode of Sweet Life and Zack and Cody, and I wonder if that was the joke of this episode, was they're wondering when the critic shows up, and then the critic's like, I'm already here, and then he unzips this costume that he had, this disguise that he has on, and then he's like, ha, and they're like, wait, you came in disguise? And he's like, and the critic's like, well, yeah, because that way you would get the exact same experience as every customer, because, if I just showed up looking like myself, you would probably have a different perspective. And he's like, oh yeah, Anne's like, and then Anne's like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and then he's like, they're they're going back and forth with this, like, yeah, well, I mean, it's just, it's a way to do it. It's just, and again, there was this episode of Stumpy and Zack and Cody that happened when, Cody I mean, I know the episode. I know the episode. It was a good episode. It was, there was a critic coming to the Tipton to inspect the restaurant that they had there, Mr. Mosby. But they didn't know who the critic was going to be, so Mosby basically had the boys try and figure out who it was, and they thought it was one person, but it turns out it was another person, and the twist at the end was the critic seemed to be a guy, but then they then ended with him speaking like a lady, so it's like, oh crap. So I wonder, again, I don't know if that's an in-joke or not, but I mean, that's immediately the first thing that popped in my head when they did the disguise thing. But after the disguise, the critic pretty much just, he's still not impressed, so Anne has to pull one last trick up her sleeve, and that's, she decides to whip out her family recipe, and it's like a squid kind of thing, but unfortunately, they have to go get a squid, and instead of getting a squid, they get a freaking kraken, as Stumpy said. Like I love this joke. Like they're hauling it into the kitchen, and Anne's like, this man, you guys have really big squids here, and then Stumpy's like, this is actually a kraken, and then Anne's like, potato. I mean, yeah, you can technically say squid, kraken, if it's big enough. So, and then the weird thing is they cook this thing, and you think, okay, it's a little big, but I imagine the critic will be impressed. No, the kraken's not dead. The kraken's not dead. It actually tries to eat the critic and everyone in the restaurant, which then leads to, obviously, Anne and Stumpy. Well, of course, Anne realizing that she really was in over her head, and she apologized to Stumpy, but then Stumpy says, no, it's okay. You actually gave me back my passion for this restaurant, and then they work together to take down to save the restaurant. Like, I love the creativity of the fight in this one too. Like, Anne uses a lemon and squeezes the juice out to blind the kraken, and then I love Stumpy just has this giant hammer and he's just like, boom. It was such a cool moment, and I loved it. And I love the kraken's just lying against the wall, and he just has X's in his eyes, and Sprig's like, yeah, this thing's not getting back up for a while. Or ever. And then the critic loves the fact that his food was tried to eat him, and so he's like, what a remarkably creative idea. And so he gives them a good review, and I love the message board joke. They're like, "Wait, you guys have a message board?" Yeah, we do. And it's like, ah, intro. And then it pretty much ends with that, just them like they got the restaurant. I really Stumpy is I like how episodes like this set up a character that in the long run won't really play that big of a role, but at the same time you hope to see him again. Like, I like when shows do that, because it's like that helps build on the town that you have. So like, I mean, like the episode with Ivy a few episodes ago, like I really liked her, and I was hoping, and I hope she comes back. I hope Stumpy comes back. I hope this guy, I really want to see more of this guy. I thought he was funny in this episode. Yeah. I mean, the critic himself, I don't know. I mean, the voice actor, I forget his name, but he's in so many things, and he has that distinct voice, because if the second you hear him talk, you automatically recognize it from like other forms of media, like Pleakley from Lilo and Stitch, or the how do I not remember the dude's name? The dude is the movie Sky High, the science teacher with the giant head. Like, that's him as well. I love it when you only need like a few sentences from him, and you're like, know him. I immediately know. So yeah, that was fun. And there's yeah. So all right, I don't know what else to say. So I'm just gonna end it with that. So hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next one.